This is Joe,
Michelle,
Melissa,
and Shannon
with More Than a Sniff, where we talk about everything dog.
from training to nutrition,
from behavior modification to grooming, from vet visits to dog parks.
From getting to know us to having guests. Today we're going to talk about, we're still on our pillar of communication, and there's so much in communication that I feel like with training, dog training in general, that everything is about communication. But there's some key things with communication that creates connection and responsiveness to you from your dog's perspective. And so today we're going to talk about the concept of routines and how that plays into a role of being clear with your communication. And I feel like that when we go into homes that's kind of the first thing that we try and establish is some solid routines. And I find that it's so difficult for people to create that. Sometimes it's not good for the dogs to fall into our routine, so we need to have a routine for our dogs, but also, just simply talking an owner through what a routine is, because they tend to want to go to a schedule, and a schedule is not a routine at all. And so, Shannon, tell me a little bit about, in your household, some of the clear routines that you have, that there's no questions asked about from your dog what those routines are.
I think like our most solid is probably just like the morning, we get up, all the dogs go outside to go to the bathroom, then they come inside, eat their food, go in their kennel for like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever that is, go back outside, and then we do whatever. Usually, then it's go back in your kennel because I have to go to work, and then, but I mean, that's the same every day. I don't ever change it, and I especially don't like to change my routines on Louie, because then if we have a day where we eat breakfast and we don't go back in our kennel, then tomorrow he won't want to go in. So I always have to be consistent about if there's something I want him to reliably do, I do have to do it every single day.
Yeah, for sure, because then they question that routine. Melissa, what is a routine that's very clear to your dogs at your house?
our morning one is like similar. I think everybody, the morning is the easiest time because there's less going on. But a routine that I didn't even think that we did, but my dogs are like clearly pointing out. When I put all the dogs out, like that we're boarding or training, they'll all three line up on the edge of the tile, because that's what I make them do before dinner. So that's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're putting those dogs out. It's time for our food, because I give them their food, and then when the other dogs come in, they feed.
Yeah.
So that's a clear routine that they have. In the mornings, it's either we're going running together or we're going to go outside and do something. Yeah. But we always go outside, and so they're ready for it. Yeah. They wait by the door, and they're like, okay, this is what. Yeah. And it's different times. It's always different. But and another one is Trigger always goes to work with my husband, and the other dogs just know that every morning Trigger goes to the door, she sits and waits. And my other dogs used to kind of go and be like, oh, what are you doing? Yeah. But now it's like, okay, bye. Yeah. Everybody just knows this is the routine that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Michelle, what are a few routines that just happen at your house?
So mornings are actually the hardest time of day for me ever. So it's funny. As I'm thinking about it, you guys just talking about that, and it totally makes sense to me. Joe, I know you get up really early and do this whole routine of working out and all this stuff. Yep. And my routine in the morning for myself is never the same, ever. Fascinating. Like this morning, I had to get up and take Murphy to the vet, so obviously that was different. But like most mornings, I'll get up, I'll make coffee, and I'll sit in my bed for a little while. But just thinking about it, something that's really important that's going on with June right now is that I think that routines is the biggest way we can communicate with her right now, because she is so neurotic and it's really hard to get through to her. Where my other dogs, honestly, I'm probably doing more routines than I think I'm doing, but they've just been with me for so long that it's just, that's my routine as well, so I don't think about it. But something that's really important for June is that she goes out and she lets me know. And I didn't realize this was becoming a routine. She hears my alarm go off, and Brandon's alarm is different. She doesn't do it when his alarm goes off. The second she hears my alarm go off, she starts howling. So I have to get up and go let her out then. And then it's really important for me, even on the weekends, to put her back in her crate for breakfast and stuff like that, just so that she knows that that's what we're supposed to be doing. You come in and you go right back to your crate. Right. there's a lot of things with her that I try to slow her down coming in and out of the doors. So it is definitely a routine that has to be done every single time, as she has to down before the door gets opened.
Yep.
Especially coming back in because she wants back inside so bad.
Yep.
A funny one that we do at night with we are definitely more night people.
Yeah.
But I mean, not that it's even important because I don't even think a lot of these things are necessarily important. They are, but not all of them.
Right.
My dogs get a cookie right before they go to bed every night, and it is so exciting to them. So anytime, I say, hey, because we make dinner right before, for them, I say, let's get in and call it breakfast. I know that's funny, but that's just the word they know what food is.
Right.
So they run, and then as soon as they are done, they run upstairs as fast as they can. It is this race, you have to hurry and eat your food so we can get upstairs. And then they just sit there and stare at the food bowl until you do it, to the treat bowl until you get their cookie. But it's something that my husband has just completely put into them. And if Prudence doesn't get it, she is so mad.
Yeah. It's fun because I think people try and, they try and create routines that's not them, that they think it's good for their dog. And when you fail to follow those routines, trouble can happen at times. And we had one, partially when my living rooms changed around because I was mad and there was a lot of other stuff going on. But when life gets distracting and a lot's going on, then the routines get messed up. And Sunday, Chris had been out of town, and we have these two little dogs with us that they're incredibly demanding and overwhelming at times, even from a dog trainer standpoint, they're a lot. And so I got them into their crates, and I had 2 appointments, and I needed to get to those, and I'm running behind, and there was so much other things happening, and it just felt like everything was just very demanding on me. And Mick ran into his crate, and obviously I didn't close his crate because I came home to a disaster. But then he was in his crate when I got home, and with the door open, and so the bathroom garbage, I kept telling myself all week long, I need to get it out. And it just continued to get full, and obviously didn't get out because it ended up all over, and a whole roll of toilet paper all over the house. And I'm sure he ate some because, he really kind of hasn't eaten all that well over the last couple of days. And when I say all over, it's not just stuff. He shredded everything in little teeny pieces all over the dog beds, it was all over. And, the first thing that goes through my mind is, well, close that routine, and then I'm looking for pee because that's, he's new into the house and he tends to still want to mark. And so I didn't find any pee. And so I'm like, well, screw it. I'm scrubbing the house down because I've wanted to anyway. And it's a great excuse. So I start scrubbing, and we get to the living room, and then I get into the bathroom, and I'm scrubbing the toilet, and I'm cleaning everything, and I open up the shower curtain, and Mick had peed all over in the bathtub. So at least he went there, and not every place else. But that's how difficult when you're starting routines and they're getting into that if you forget to close the door, you forget a routine piece of it. Can be destructive, and a lot of times I think people will get angry at the dog and get frustrated, the training's all gone down the toilet, no matter how old the dog, right? You change a routine, it's hard. Where I just go, man, that was a rough day because I failed something on my end for him, and so it really wasn't his fault. And so routines are important. Louie, we didn't do that yesterday. We're changing routines. So routines are an incredibly important way to communicate to your dog. And I think that we struggle with creating routines, Melissa.
We actually rearranged our living room this weekend too. So I think it's super funny that the same weekend we do it. Because Nick and I woke up and we want to scrub our living room. Yeah. And so we mix up our living room, and Cooper is very, very routine.
Yeah.
She calls us out all the time on routines, and it's just funny because she'll do them anyway without us.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like mornings, So when the alarm goes off, she's always like, ugh.
She should be living with Michelle.
I know. Because sometimes when the alarm goes off, she like paws at it and growls at it. Like it's quite funny, her reaction in the mornings.
Yeah.
But so she goes outside half asleep, goes to the bathroom because she knows that's the routine.
Yeah.
And she'd go up on her favorite perch. It's like this ottoman that has a sheepskin on top. And she just goes back to sleep there. And we moved to that only like 2 feet down, mind you. But she goes over and plops on the floor right where the perch used to be. And she kind of like looks around. And she starts sneezing, and she sneezes when she's agitated.
Yeah.
So she went up on the other perch, but now she's laying on the floor by the perch where it used to be instead of going 2 feet over. And I didn't even think about that. But she's like, no, this is where it should be. And so Nate actually wants to move it back over for her. But I'm just going to see how long she
finally accepts the change.
I don't think she will, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so that's a kind of a funny change of routine story because just 2 feet is a difference to your dog.
Right.
But last night I had a super fun lesson with these 2 clients, first-time dog owners, both of them, have this dog who they are trying so hard to establish a relationship with. So hard. And they printed out, I swear it was probably like 50 pages from stuff online.
Yeah.
We read that to create a bond and that we need our routine to be da-da-da-da-da. And they were living like 5-minute increments. You should have your dogs do this for 15 minutes. And, and I was like, your dog's going to have a neurotic breakdown. This is not a routine. And I kind of talked to him about, it's not about routine, but living your life as a pack and letting your dog be a part of that pack.
Yeah.
So don't be caught up on X amount of time and
Right.
What would you do normally? What do you want your dog to do with you? And let's think about it.
Yeah.
So we, and I actually had them physically walk me through their day if it was sped up in the morning. Like, okay, your dog can come here and you can back tie on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Oh, for how long? How long do you sit at the table with coffee?
Yeah.
Oh. And so don't get caught up with the clock.
Right.
But just imagine and even physically walk through your routine.
Yeah.
Or film yourself.
Yep.
I've had clients do that in the morning. Like set up a camera in your living room to film what your morning is like if you don't know.
Yeah.
And you will see those moments of, oh, my dog I'd really like for them to sit here and have coffee with me.
Right.
There's a routine.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how long, but your dog will remember in the morning, I'm having coffee with my people, and that's a fun pack activity.
Right. Right. For sure. Michelle, what's one routine that you give all of your clients?
I mean, I feel like there's a few. I mean, I think routine's a big for crate training to begin with. So anytime I start a new thing, crate training is a big thing.
Yep.
And I try really hard to get people in the mindset of that it's not a schedule. Because like I just said, there are some mornings I don't get out of bed till 10 o'clock.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And there's some mornings I'm up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And June really doesn't know. Like, she has no idea. It really is like the sound of my alarm is what sets her off. So, just having that, like, 4 hours in their crate, doesn't matter what time of day it is. I mean, and it depends on the dog, too. Some dogs, when they're, like, first starting out and it's really hard, it's better to have a time schedule of some kind.
Right.
But I think it's really important what Melissa said is to not think about what your dog is now, but what it can be in the future.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a puppy. People treat puppies like they're the cutest little things ever.
Yep.
And it's cute for them to be biting and chewing on the rug now and peeing on like my parents are definitely guilty of this. They potty like pad trained their dog. And they'd let him tear it up, and then so then there would be pieces everywhere, so there's pee everywhere. Yeah. And it took them forever to potty train that dog. Forever.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me because he's a really smart dog, but not my place to tell them.
Yep.
So I think it's really important with some dogs to have somewhat of a time schedule, but really, honestly, I think it's more important to think about what you want that dog to be like in the future.
Yep.
Something that I struggle with every single day with Murphy is getting out of the kitchen, and it's my fault because we've always allowed him in the kitchen up until we moved into this house, and he was 5 at that point. And it's always been a big part of our routine is him being in the kitchen with us.
Yep.
Not even just like he's in here, like that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I suck at sticking to it. Like
sure.
I'm the worst at, like, if I'm doing the dishes and he's behind me, I don't even notice. Like, it's only when I'm cooking or we have people over, and then people are like, Michelle, you were so mean to him because you're yelling at him to get out. And I'm like, well.
It's our routine. We have to do it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but things that I stick to, crate training is a big one anytime. I think it's important to have some kind of feeding routine.
Yeah.
Just because that's something it's like a survival thing for your dog. So your dog should be expecting that and know what's going on.
Yep. For sure.
My dogs know anytime I go downstairs to get coffee, it's time to eat. And I grab their bowls while I'm pouring the coffee.
Yep.
Even just little things like that people, you wouldn't even think you're doing.
Yeah.
That's actually honestly just my routine, right? Like, I didn't even realize I was doing it until one day I went and poured coffee at like 2 PM and they were like, what are you doing? So
getting our food bowls?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So any of those survival things, I think are really important. And then anything that's actually important to you.
Right.
So, and that's different for everybody. If we would have had this house when Murphy was a puppy, he would have never been allowed in the kitchen. Simple as that.
Yep. Because it's an easy separation where you're at now versus where you were.
Right,
before.
exactly.
Yeah.
When we first got in, there's no way we could. I mean, he had to go through the kitchen to get to the back door.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
So anything that's really important to you, the doorbell thing for Murphy, that is really, really important to us, that he goes to the bathroom anytime the doorbell rings, into our bathroom, not to the bathroom. Yeah. Because he's bit people before.
Right.
And so I need him out of that situation 100%.
Yep.
And he will take advantage of it. If you do not if you do not go shut him in, the next time it's like, he never gets quite to the door, but it is definitely like he starts like, I'm not going all the way in.
Yep. Yep.
So, I mean, same thing with the kitchen. It's like, we'll get really good at it for a few days and then it's just, and it's never been important to do with Prudence with that because she's great at the door. So she doesn't even have a clue. Right. Like, we've never made her go to the door. So I think it's really, some people, they really, really want their dogs to be in a bed while they're eating. That's never bothered me. And I'm not going to lie, being a trainer, I've always let my dogs eat not from my plate, but like,
sure.
So that's not important to us. Yeah. It's just not. Getting on our bed was really important for Murphy not to get on the bed at first. So if that's important to you, and he still won't unless we like ask him to get up.
Yep.
So I really think it's more of the household and what they want, but I really think it's really important. And I always will do this with my new clients. I will always ask them to write down 5 things each of what they really want their dog to be like in the future, not now. Yeah. And then my second lesson, we will start to build on that.
I like that.
From that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's good.
I got it from you. From that really, really, really terrible dog we had. I don't even remember what he was. This really scruffy dog that was biting people.
Yeah.
You asked them to do that, and I was like, that is so smart. Like, I don't know why we're not, especially from puppyhood. Why are we not starting this?
Right?
Like, so every time I'm like, I need you to write down 5 things of what you want your dog to be like, not your puppy.
Yep.
Because those are totally different things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess I do that actually because with these Pomskis, I said, what does the picture look like in, 2 years from now? And I unfortunately had to tell them that that's not what these dogs can be. And so we're heading in a different direction with it. But yeah, it's important to visualize that. And even for me, and I'm not saying that every dog doesn't work, but even with Trigger, I had to sit down and look at, what it is for me that I wanted her to be. And if she can't be that, it's not fair to keep her in it. And now she's an office dog and totally loves life, and that's where she belongs. So, it's important to understand and know that. And I think that's probably great advice before you even get a dog, to think about what, 5 things are that you want that dog to be as an adult.
Absolutely. It's interesting we're talking about this because I actually recently kind of did this with June. I didn't write it down, which I probably should, but she's definitely the hardest dog I've ever had to deal with when it comes to this because I don't know what her future looks like. I really don't. And so I think it's really important. I think you're 100% right, is that people should think about that before they get a dog. Yeah. Because you can get a dog that can do those things. Right. Like, we can find you one. Right. Yeah. Like, we could, even if you were like want to adopt, we can go to a shelter and we can find you a dog that is going to live that lifestyle with you. Yeah. I don't know if June will ever be able to be part of the pack like my other 3. Like, sure. I mean, I think she will be able to be somewhat. Yeah. But I don't know if the picture for her is the same as it would be for Murphy. Sure. Yeah. And if I were going to get like a dog from a puppy, I would definitely like really, really think about like that. I mean, June was just kind of like, hey, you're getting a dog.
Yeah.
And I love her, so it's not like that.
Right.
And I'm the things that I'm coming up with her are actually different than what I've ever come up with any of my other dogs. Because yes, I want her to be able to do those things, and we are starting to work on her being out more and around the cat and like and off leash in the house, which is pretty scary for us. But well, for the cat really, but but like her 5 things for me were different.
Yeah, than they ever had.
They were like, I would really like to see in 2 years from now, like me and her working really well together out herding. I would really like to have her really well trained to go running with me. Nice. Like those little things, you know, that she can sit on the couch and just be normal.
Right.
Is one of them, which believe me, it's not the easiest thing. So.
Right. Yeah. Melissa?
One thing that you said that I really like is that basically routines are a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like Cooper's routine could never be to go to an office.
Right.
That would drive her absolutely insane.
Yeah.
She'd try to control everyone. But for Trigger, she's just like, oh yeah, hey everybody, these are my people. Like she treats everyone like, like, you know. But essentially, like, think of like, your lifestyle and what that is, and that's your routine.
Right.
And for some dogs, they might not fit into that routine. So think about, I was talking with this family last night, like, why is this your goal?
Right.
Is it because you think that has to be your goal?
Yeah.
And one of their goals was, we want her to go to the dog park and play nice. I was like, okay, why? But because. Why?
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Nope. And then to come to find out, they hate dog parks.
Right.
And they don't want to go.
Yep.
And so I was like, why?
Why are we doing this?
I know why.
Yeah.
Well, we want her to be happy. Dogs are happy if they're a part of the pack routine.
Right.
And so you have to think honestly, like if that is your routine, and your dog will fit into it.
Right. Right.
But like routines are a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I really
like that.
Thinking about, because schedule is not a lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. Right. Shannon, I threw 2 dogs in your lap fairly quickly. And not like you didn't have a choice, but you almost didn't in some funny ways. And tell me some things that you did to help assimilate everybody into it, because you have 3 completely different personalities. I think more drastic than even Michelle with June even. How did you, with using just the routines that you have, how do you feel like, one, that helped just assimilate everybody together and them functioning in all their different ways? But also, what are some of the things that you did as you brought the dogs into your home that helped normalize things?
I think you have to, the key to being able to do routines is to know yourself and how you are already. I'm like, one of the main examples, I think, is the difference between me and my husband. So if you look at just one little routine, which is when I get home from work or whatever, running errands, whatever it is I've been out for the day and I get home, then I want to do the things with the dogs right then. I want to come home and we want to go for a walk, or we do our training or whatever, I want to do it right then, and then go on to, working on the computer or making dinner or whatever. My husband, when he gets home, he wants to relax for a little while and then do something with the dog, And so part of that is, like, you make these routines that all of that stuff can happen and it's okay, and you want to involve all the people in your family, and so you want to set up like groups of routines that mush together, and that's where it not having to be a specific time comes in. So I do that. Come home from work, go for a walk with the dogs, do our training that we're supposed to do, whatever. Then I go in the office and work on the computer, and all the dogs sleep till Mike gets home. Then all the dogs go with him, hang out on the sofa for a while, and then he plays with them. Then we usually eat dinner, and then after dinner, he plays games with them and does his training, where he breaks out the treats, and then they're all down, come here, whatever, all over the house. They're doing obedience. And if he's on call for IT, that's what he does, IT. So if something breaks during dinner and he has to leave and go work on the computer, he has all these little dogs sitting around him. Like, come on. Right. This is our time when we're shaking and lying down and rolling over, and you're not supposed to be on the computer right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you kind of make these little teeny routines that have to do with how you live your life when you have time and what you want to do, and then you group them together in the day. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, it doesn't matter really what time of day it happens, even though people are creatures of habit and they do it at the same time every day. Yeah. But if Mike would do that in the morning before he went to work, the dog would be just as happy as doing it after dinner. Yeah. Yeah. So you just do stuff and then figure out how the dog goes with you. Yeah. We have to go to the store. Should we take the new dog? Our dog's afraid of everything. Yes, let's take her. You know, we're going to go stay at my mom's. Does the dog need to know how to behave at another person's house? Let's take the dog. Yeah. You know, so... and then it's okay, too, for all your different dogs, even though you're all doing one thing together, it's okay for them to be a little different. Mm-hmm. If you're all watching TV, it's okay for one to play with all the little toys, and one to have a chewy treat, and one to sit on your lap, because each of them is having their own experience and trying to fit in, like with the family, and it can be like a growing experience. Like Dutch, when she never lived in a house before, and she didn't like to be in the room with all the furniture and what do we do? And she would pace, like the first week I had her, or whatever. And now she will sit on the sofa. Like when it's relaxing time, she'll sit on the sofa. And it moved from, well, I can be in the same room, but I have to keep moving, to I can be in the same room and I can sit with you. And that's the integration. It can come slowly over time, where it can go fast, and it just kind of depends on, like, all the factors of your life, how structured your routines are, what the personality of the dog is, what human people are involved in it. So, and it's okay for them to fit right in, and you to be like, oh, this is so great, and it's okay to have to work on it a little, and it's okay to have. Louie's really stable with routines, and so he is able to help the other dogs, because he's like, no, this is what we're doing. And they're like, oh, well, Louie's doing this, so I guess we better too. Whereas if you just have one dog, sometimes it's harder to get them to, like, figure it out. So since I've been so stable with him, and he's like 6 years old now, he's like really set on, no, you're supposed to be doing this. And he'll sometimes even get after the other dogs. No, do this. Oh, sorry, Louie. You know. So they can help each other, and you can help them too.
I find it fascinating. When most people call in a dog trainer, if the routines are off in some way, and so it's fascinating and fun to me to figure out what those routines are. And then to come back the following week and they're like, the dog she was able to be out when everybody was here. And it's just because the routines became more clear to the dog of what the expectations are. And it really, it wasn't about training. It's about what the routines are. And you keep those routines over and over and over, that all of a sudden, like, you don't think about it anymore. You forget what's going on because they just do it. Michelle?
It's really funny. The last couple of days I've been cleaning my house as well. And, but Brandon hasn't been home. And so I've just been like letting June figure things out. And we've never let her do that, you guys. Never.
Right.
Like, she's never been allowed off leash ever in our house. Like, because of the cat.
When you have Mick. Right?
Well, I mean, exactly. Well, So, but the funny thing is all she's done is she paces, and I think she'll always be somewhat of a pacer, but she'll pace for a few minutes, and then she'll just go lay on the couch, because that's the place that, like, our routine is, that she actually gets to just hang out on the couch with us, and she'll just lay there and be like, okay, no, I don't know what to do. Okay. But it's funny, because then I started going up and down the stairs in the last couple of days, and that's where the cat is, and then it just became every time you'd, like, not be watching, she'd be like, okay, I'm going to sneak up the stairs. Like, that became her routine, and I was like... No, we're just going to get back on the couch here. So then I'd back tire to the couch again. It's so funny. And you do have dogs that are definitely going to manipulate you more like that. My herding dogs are definitely going to be more like that than my Cavalier or even my Papillon will be. So,
Sure.
But it's been really funny letting her out because she finds comfort in the routines we've given her.
Right.
Like 100%. She's like, okay, this is my couch. In fact, we've started calling her Queen Bug because she is queen of the couch. So, but she just sits there like, okay, I'm in my place.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
You know, it's in mixed routines, his manipulation, as you guys all know, is he's so snuggly. He's so just like so snuggly.
June's not that snuggly, but she has learned that if she turns and gives you this cute little like, hi, that you'll just let it go. Drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because you do.
You
All
do.
of a sudden you're like, why am I touching you?
Yeah.
You should be laying down on your bed. What are you doing? And, you know, it's funny how they do manipulate because they know what they're supposed to be doing, but it's this manipulation that happens that they throw you off. And you know, I mean, Chianti being a German Shepherd and still the herding dog, we've had dogs in our homes that have there's no reason for them to manipulate everything. Okay, you want me to be on my bed? I'm just going to be on my bed. Oh, we're going to do this? Okay, we're going to do this. And there's no question about it. Where Chianti's discovered that, okay, you put my food bowl down, and then she goes and seeks out Chris. And she'll wait. Like if he's out in the studio, she sits at the back door. I'm like, eat your dinner. And this is only at dinner. It's not breakfast time at all. So she waits for him, and then she bumps the cupboard, and he's not even like, he's totally oblivious as to what's happening. And so then he gets in the cupboard and he gets her fish skin because that's her obsession. And then she brings it in, puts it on the bed, and then she goes back and eats. And he's like, what does she do? I'm like, she's got your number, you know? And it's just this new thing that she's like, you're supposed to get something out of the cupboard. And then I will eat. But she won't eat. Like if he won't give it to her, she won't eat. She will not eat. Like I think last night she waited till 10 o'clock. And he's like, well, all right, fine, damn it. And he gives her fish skin. She puts on the bench. She goes in and finishes eating and then went back to eat her fish skin. I mean, she's just like, no, this is our new routine that I've created. And if you don't pay attention to what you're doing, they create their routine.
Yes, that's a good message for all you people out there that really want, quote unquote, smart breeds. Because they will outsmart you in that way. And you don't even realize it's happening. Yep. You're just like, oh, you're so cute.
Yep.
So, one's just random, the outsmarting thing. Our neighbor brought us some raw elk bones that our dogs are just like head over heels. Yeah. It is the best thing that's ever happened to them. And we keep them in the freezer if we're not giving them to them. So the other night, it was like, I think about a week ago, and I already told you guys this story, but telling again. Cooper wakes up in the night and goes to the door, and she yawns when she needs to go to the bathroom. So she's yawning. I'm like, oh, it's weird. She must need to go to the bathroom. Get up, and I'm just sleepy, groggy, and I go to the back. She goes to the back door, beelines it for the freezer, and then paws the freezer where the bones are. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
You're not manipulating me. But the two gremlins, are two puppies, their new routine that just started last week. And we've had a full house the past week. And so they're extra demanding for attention.
Yeah.
But now their new thing is Nick and I both have to tell them to go eat breakfast, dinner. And that's what we call every meal is breakfast, dinner. We both have to tell them or they won't eat. So I'll go, okay, breakfast, dinner. And then they'll go to Nick and they'll sit in front of him and then he'll tell them and then they'll go. And then we have to tell them good job after or they will just follow us everywhere. And once we say good job, then it's okay. We did it. But that's this week's new routine that we've completely fallen for. And now it's cemented in. So
Yeah. I mean, they're, it's funny living with them. And I think as dog trainers, you see it, and then you're just in denial. And then I think for other people, it's like, am I doing this right? Should I do it? Or they start the routine, and then they're like, how do we stop this routine? Because I don't like the routine. You know, where we're like, what else are you going to do? I mean, how else is this going to play out? You know, what it is.
I think the interesting thing is, as we're talking about this, it's a lot harder for me, except for the treat of bedtime, to think of of Rambo and Prudence's quote routines. Yeah. Because I think their routines are so implanted in them that they just do it. Where June and Murphy, I actually really, I have to be like, okay, wait a minute, what's different today? Yeah. So I guess that's what I was getting at with saying, when you guys want smart dogs, really think about that. Like, if you really want an obedient dog, that's not a smart dog. Yeah. If you want a trainable dog, that is not necessarily a smart dog.
Yeah.
Sometimes those smart dogs are impossible to train because they're too smart. Like
right. They watch you and go, okay, yeah, I can do that. But then now I'm just going to add this to it.
Exactly.
Or we're going to do it this way, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, why are we not doing this?
Yeah.
So, but it's funny. I really am trying to think of like my actual little dog's routines, and I'm sure that they are there probably, especially with Prudence being a food hound the way she is, are probably more in there than any of the rest of them. But it's just I don't have to reinforce them.
Yeah. Right.
So I know your dog's routines, your little dogs, and it's actually quite funny. So when they stay over, Nick's like, I feel like I know their life because every morning when the coffee goes, like when Prudence hears it start brewing, we hear, and she pitter patters, and goes to where the food is, and she will stand by that door because she knows the food is there.
Yeah.
And then Rambo will come, and he'll kind of like hit her knee and then run back. So we know, like, we feed them breakfast right after coffee, even though that's not what we do to our dogs, but they tell us.
Oh, no. When Brandon brews the coffee, they each get a cookie. I feed them when I get up, and I pour the coffee, but when the coffee's actually being brewed, and actually most of the time Murphy and Rambo don't go downstairs. It's only Prudence that goes and gets her cookie, because I'll always find a piece of cookie, like, on the banister, and I'll text Brandon, because I take it Rambo didn't come down. Yeah, but I still had already had a cookie for him. I'm like, he didn't know.
Yeah, they very much every morning, especially Prudence, is like, excuse me, something. And then at night, they won't go into their crates until they get a cookie.
Yeah.
And they have our number because we don't do that to our dogs. But those two, it's like, if you want Prudence to go into her crate, you give her a cookie. And then it's like, okay.
Well, I think
all
all dogs that come stay with us always tell us their story, because I'm sure Mick and Chianti had their little routines that, you know, they're like, nope, this is how we live, you know, and but yeah, I mean, it's funny when you get so ingrained and then they go someplace else. The dogs will tell, like, I mean, Murphy on the bed. I mean, if it's just me on the bed and he's just like, hello, I'm like, well, get up here then. I mean, I'm assume you can get up here. And then if Chris comes in the room, then he immediately gets back off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or he's on Chris's side and he's like, yeah, I don't move. And so there's manipulation because I know what the rules are for him, but it's funny what he tells you this is what we do. And so, you know, and Chris is just good enough to go, well, I guess this is what you do at your house, you know? So, Shannon, what do you find having 3 different groups of dogs? 3 different. You're in 3 different categories, where we've all got. I mean, I guess Michelle has different as well, but what do you find fascinating with having 3 completely different dogs trying to do the same routine?
So, like, one of our routines is, like, when we're watching TV, right? We eat dinner, we're watching TV before we go to bed, relaxing. So that routine is Louis just sits on the sofa by you, and sometimes he'll put his head on your lap, and he just out, snoozing away. Yeah. Ripley will sit on your lap. Sometimes she'll go get a toy, and then she just wants to sit on your lap. And she's like, I'm here on your lap. This is what I'm doing. And then Dutch wants attention. And so what she does is she'll go to Mike and put her face by Mike. He'll be like on his phone watching a movie or texting or Facebooking or whatever. I don't know what he's doing. She puts her face by him and then goes bleh, and licks his face. So then he'll look at her, and then he pets her, and he's like, don't lick my face. And the other day, he's like, this dog is manipulating me. I'm like, what do you mean, honey? And he's like, she wants my attention, and so she licks my face. Like, oh. So now his new thing is that when she licks him, he just goes, ugh, and pushes her away. So
and she's probably
I'm
still like,
how that's working out because it's still attention, you know. But that was it. Like, she wanted him to pet her, and so she knew if she'd go bleh and lick his face or bleh and lick his phone, that he'd be like, Dutch, don't do that, and just like pet her, you know. Yeah. So anyway, and another routine that's kind of new since Thanksgiving, because our neighbors have a cat, and Dutch loves the cat, and they have like this little love affair where the cat sits on one side of the fence and Dutch sits on the other, and they just stare at each other. and they're just sitting there staring. Well, Ripley now has realized that there's a cat. So then Ripley's like, cat, 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 barks and scares the cat away. And then Dutch is like, my cat. And so it's like the cat's at the end of their yard, and Dutch is at the end of that yard. And then they closer, 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 over like half an hour till they're both back at the fence again, looking at each other. And then if Louis goes over there, then the cat just goes, and like swats him through the fence. And he's like, hi, cat, this is our game. Like, because that's what my mom's cat does, is just bats him in on the head. And he's like, I love playing with cats, you know. And so then he's like, whatever, and he'll leave. And then Dutch and this cat are just looking. And then Ripley, cat, 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 barks and scares the cat away. So that's just like an outside. That's not really a routine, but it's just like, it's, and how they interact with each other and how their different, like, little weird breeds are. You know? And so they're all doing the same thing. We're all outside, and they're all having fun, and they're all doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. And that's just like their little world with our neighbor, our little outside friend. But it's just funny because they're just all different, but they're all like just so happy and accepting of like, well, I'm doing this, and well, you're doing that, and that this is what we're just doing, you know? Because then Dutch is like, you're like, see it, my cat. How am I going to get my cat back? And then they just scoot closer, closer, closer. Because I think she's like, I can't scare the cat away. I want it to be close. So she's kind of like stalking it until they get closer, closer. And they just sit and look at each other through the fence. But, yeah, it's just interesting. So then I'm inside watching. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is so funny. You know?
I find entertainment. Yeah, Chianti doesn't like anything that's out of routine, and so she gets disgusted and goes downstairs. So I can only imagine what the conversation was when Mick was shredding the bathroom all over. What she was, because she actually was upstairs on the bed. Like, do you see this mess? I did not do it. But she definitely wants everybody to follow the routines. And she just gets aggravated and goes downstairs, and she wants nothing to do with anybody in the house that's not following the routines with everything. So it's such a fascinating way to communicate with your dog, you know, and you're going to use verbal things and you're going to use tools and all of that, but your routines are such an important way to connect with your dog. It's an important way for them to connect with you, and it's an important way that communication can become very clear with your dog, is establishing routines. But they'll establish their own as well, and they're trying to communicate with you. And you can either appreciate it and keep the routine or change the routine on them and make it right. So find out what your routines are, and discover new routines that you can do with your dog that's not weird micromanaging schedule. And that's my challenge to all of you.